Maestro is a cool idea. Basically, Bruce Banner the Hulk sticks around so long that he becomes evil. He becomes a smart Hulk, and using his strength and his knowledge, he conquers the world. But how did this evil Hulk come to be? Today we're going to bring you the Maestro full story.
Life has been good for Bruce Banner. He, Betty, and their 2 sons are happy. He gets out and he stretches his legs. It's all very hard to believe. He learned to control the Hulk, even maintained the Hulk's form while still being completely mentally aware. So what could go wrong? Nothing. Nothing could possibly go wrong for Bruce Banner. Except one night at the Avengers mansion, Bruce sits with Betty for dinner, as Betty tells their sons Thaddeus and Rick to sit down and eat before their food gets cold. Thaddeus stops and tells her that they don't have to listen to her, and when Betty asks why not, Thaddeus tells her, "Because you're dead." Betty laughs, telling them to come on, but Bruce stops and asks, "Wait, what did you mean, Thaddeus?" Thaddeus then says that she's dead, Rick's dead, Thaddeus Ross is dead. Dead, 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 dead. Bruce gets up asking, "What the hell are you talking about?" And Betty says, "HTTP 404, bad command or file name, bad command or file name." Bruce grabs Betty asking, "Have you lost your mind?" But as Betty continues to repeat herself, she suddenly disappears and everything turns black. Just then, Cap walks in, stating to just hang on. Mysterio has gotten into his mind. And a few seconds later, Bruce finds himself back in his home with Betty and his sons at the table, with Cap asking, "Is everything okay now, Bruce?" Bruce tells him, "Yeah. Wait, no, we're not okay. How did Mysterio do that? Why would he do that? It doesn't make any sense, Cap." Betty says that they need to finish their dinner before it gets cold, but Bruce yells, "You already said that! Shut up! Just shut up!" After finally getting his composure, Bruce turns, stating that he needs fresh air, but Cap tells him that he's going to have to stay here. "We have to talk, Bruce." Bruce reaches for the door, but when he opens it, he finds himself in a simulation room. Bruce thinks that if this was Mysterio, then he managed to raise himself up to Doctor Strange levels of illusions. Soon, the rest of the Avengers appear, all telling Bruce to just calm down. Don't get angry. And Bruce asks, "What are you all talking about?" Cap suddenly appears in front of him, telling him, "Just settle down. It's all a bit confusing." And Bruce asks, "How did you get in front of me? Whatever, I'm just gonna go out and..." Just then, Thor grabs his arm, telling him, "You will not leave. Give us a few minutes to explain, Banner. Let's be clear here. Do not move." Bruce spins back, punching Thor away, but there's something different. Normally there'd be a sound, a thud, a crunch, but there's nothing. Only silence, like he's in a dream. All of the remaining Avengers get ready to subdue Bruce, but using his massive hands, he delivers a thunderclap, knocking everyone to the ground except Vision. Vibrations don't slow someone who can go immaterial. Vision floats over, placing his hand into Bruce's head, telling him, "I apologize for this. It may hurt." Bruce tries to grab at Vision's arm, telling him to get out of his head, but as he screams it, everything begins to change again. A much, much older Bruce, still maintaining his Hulk form, shouts. And as he comes to, he finds dozens of wires hooked into him. He reaches and begins to disconnect the wires, looking around the lab, asking, "What kind of rundown place is this? And why do I have a beard?" Just then, a woman's voice tells him that it's okay, just stay calm, you probably have a lot of questions. Bruce looks up to see a woman walking towards him, and behind her a young boy. He asks if that is Rick. Why is his son? But Bruce stands up, pushing the woman to the side, telling her, "You're taking my son and..." But the boy begins hitting him, yelling, "You're gonna hurt my mommy, let him go!" And Bruce sets the boy down, asking, "Mommy?" The woman begins to get up, stating that her name is Terry, and she's fine. It's all a misunderstanding, that's all. Bruce begins to turn and leave, but as he walks out of the lab, a group of AIM soldiers tell him to freeze. They will not warn him again. So as Bruce leans into one of the soldiers state that they've warned him. And Bruce laughs. "There it is!" Just then, the soldiers open fire, but instead their beams are bouncing off, and they actually knock Bruce into a wall. He shields his eyes, thinking that these weapons are a lot more sophisticated. He's starting to black out. Okay, well, hell no. He's not going to let them get through. He lifts up his arms and slams them into the ground, creating a giant hole for him to escape through. And after crashing into the floors below, Bruce finds more people in test tubes, vapor from UFOs, the abomination. But before he could get any answers, more soldiers appear, telling him that they warned him. He charges at the group when suddenly he's in a force field and blasted again. Except this time, a different voice tells him that that's enough. Perhaps you remember me. MODOK, mental organism designed only for killing. Bruce looks up at MODOK, but MODOK just ages drastically, his skin turning a pale gray. He stands by asking, "What is going on? Where's Betty? Where's Rick Jones?" But MODOK tells him, "They are all dead, long dead." Bruce lunges at him asking, "What did you do?" And MODOK yells, "I did nothing. What are you going to do? Kill me? Go ahead. You'd be doing me a favor. End my life. Come on." As Bruce gets ready to take the swing, though, he stops. And MODOK rights himself, telling him, "To be honest, I'd forgotten about you. Circuitry is failing, and there isn't anyone smart enough to fix me. Everything breaks down, including me." Bruce sits down, asking, "How did they die? Who was it? The leader? Dr. Doom? You?" MODOK tells him, "They did it." But Bruce questions further, and MODOK yells, "They did it, you idiot! Your leaders, your governments, the great unwashed! They! World War III! Some terrorist group set off a nuclear weapon in both the United States and Moscow and convinced both nations through their computers that the other was responsible. From there, it was only a matter of time. By the time it was sorted out, 60% of humanity was gone, and some years later came the next batch, smaller offensive. They called themselves the Black Scythe. They came to the conclusion that humankind's time on this world was over, and that it would be best for them to simply go back to the way of the dinosaurs. Millions are still dying from radiation poisoning, but it wasn't sufficient enough for them. So they unleashed a specifically prepared gas in Philadelphia, Chicago, and London, killing hundreds of cities throughout the world. It was most efficient. Bruce asks why doesn't he remember any of this, and MODOK tells him, "Because when the missiles first fell, they took you in, among others. They seized the individuals whose bodies seemingly made them benefit from radiation. Gamma radiation, cosmic rays, the like. No classic heroes." Bruce asks, "Why would they do that?" And MODOK tells him, "Survival, nothing more. These soldiers, they have families, friends, they want to live, same as everyone else. AIM has this facility below the streets of Los Angeles, where they brought you here. You should be thanking them." Bruce gets up, smacking MODOK across the room. "Thanks," and he punches the control panel to the door, blocking him. As he walks out, he notices that no one is even trying to stop him. Or maybe they're just going to let him go. Maybe it's all a lie. Wouldn't the heroes have stopped this? Right, like they stopped Chernobyl, or the Twin Towers, or the thousands who have died in mass shootings. Don't worry about gun control, see what the Red Skull is up to. Bruce kicks through another door, jumping through the elevator shaft until he bursts outside, and what he finds is horrifying. MODOK wasn't lying. They really did it. They blew themselves to hell. All the adventures that they had as heroes, everything that they did to protect them from the bad guys, but they couldn't protect themselves from themselves. The world is scorched. It's become a wasteland. All because humankind is so damned self-destructive that all the heroes could do is stem the tide. So a short while, up in the front of the Hollywood sign, MODOK asks him, "Why come here? It's the only thing left. What else is there?" MODOK tells him, "Come back inside. If calculations are correct, within 27 years the radiation will decrease sufficiently and we'll be able to leave our shelters." Bruce asks, "Why? To rebuild? So that humanity can regenerate, thrive, and blow itself up again? No thanks." He begins to rip and bend the pieces of the sign, and MODOK tells him to come back. "I have friends that..." But Bruce stops him. "I don't need friends. Friends die." And as Bruce gets ready to leave, MODOK asks, "So what now? You're going to be Hulk full-time?" And Bruce tells him, "For now. We'll see what the future brings." Once Bruce is gone, MODOK looks back at the Hollywood sign, now reading, Hulk. So Bruce traveled, and he only saw more of the same. He prayed that MODOK was exaggerating, but he wasn't. Humanity really did a remarkable job at obliterating itself. Mount Rushmore, the Hoover Dam, Las Vegas, all of it destroyed. Even the parks are uninhabitable. Poor dumb animals. The humans did this to themselves. But what did the animals do to deserve this? Nothing. They didn't even understand why the things they were eating were poisoned. Many of the humans probably thought that they'd just walk right into the kingdom of heaven if they obeyed God's word. People who believed that God had a plan. Well, screw God. Screw him and his plan. And the Hulk's next stop is DC. No matter where he goes, coast to coast, all Hulk sees is evidence of humans' stupidity. And there is no greater source of that stupidity than here in the Capitol. Bruce walks up to the broken Lincoln Memorial, stating that he got off lucky. How was the play? Well, it sucked, but then they shot the president. Just then, Hulk hears something. A kid with a mask running. The kid seems okay, certainly isn't dying, and that's a plus. But then the kid stops, lifting a hidden hatch, crawling inside, making sure not to be seen. However, he was seen by Hulk, and Hulk follows. As Hulk walks through the sewer system, there is suddenly a flash of light and a voice telling him halt. Several armed people point their guns, and Hulk turns around, pointing to his back, telling them, I have an itch. Try focusing there. The voice says, Oh, that is very amusing, Dr. Banner. We fought many years ago, but I looked quite different then. Machine Man steps forward, showing his run-down body, telling him, Welcome to the bunker. I'd invite you to stay, but our resources are limited. Machine Man leads Hulk deeper in, and Hulk asks, Where is this? Machine Man tells him it's the remains of the White House. The president is dead, vice president, along with the cabinet, Congress, and honestly, the entire concept of government is deceased. There's just survivors now. Those that were lucky enough to survive are mostly the descendants of White House employees who escaped down here when the bombs started to go off. We have enough supplies to last another 17 years, but with the addition of a Hulk, it's probably going to be just under 4. Hulk says that he gets it, but as he looks at one of the dozens of monitors, he sees a city and asks, What's that? Machine Man tells him that that is Dystopia, formerly New York. It was constructed by its overseer. He goes by the name Maestro, Italian for monster. Hulk scoffs, stating, I know what it means, and don't worry about the rations. I'm gonna go meet this Maestro. He leaves Machine Man's shelter, but as he leaps into the air, he begins to feel woozy. He tries to focus, but he ends up crashing back to Earth. He tries to shake it off, stating that he thought that he could absorb more of the ambient radiation, but even his body needs time to heal. Maybe he could rest for... Wait. What's that noise? At that moment, a swarm of cockroaches fly from over the hill, and they begin to eat at the Hulk's flesh. Hulk tries to swat them away, but a sonic blast shoots by, blowing them all up. And a man tells the shooter, Hang on, this one's still alive. You okay there, big fella? Hulk says that he's had worse. He just needs a moment to, but then he collapses. When he wakes up, the man from before greets him, stating that his name is Boz. Hulk tells him that his name is Bruce. And Boz says that that's not exactly a fitting name, but all right. And Bruce asks, Where is this place? Boz walks him out, stating that this is just their little settlement. They haven't given it a name yet, but there's no radiation here, making it sort of a rarity. As the two reach the edge of the settlement, Bruce looks over towards the city, asking if that is Dystopia. And Boz says that it is indeed. So Bruce asks to hear more about the Maestro. And Boz tells him that they say he's a god. So Bruce then says, I've really got to meet him. He jumps over, entering the city, but everyone there begins to stare. One of the people asks what he wants, and Bruce says that he's new to town. He wants to meet Maestro. The people tell him that nobody meets the Maestro, but another voice asks Bruce, Are you the Hulk? Bruce asks who wants to know, and a well-dressed man steps forward, stating that he is the minister. The Maestro dispatched him so that they could meet. As Bruce follows him into a palace, the minister says that this city was descending into chaos before the Maestro appeared and brought order. When he declared himself their ruler, no one dared to dispute him. Bruce says that he took power, and the minister says that some objected, but they didn't last long. Maestro rules them well. If there's any disputes, they are brought before him and he makes judgments. Minister then calls out to Maestro, stating that their guest has arrived, and a hand reaches out from behind the drapes, yelling, Banner! It's been an age! The voice belongs to none other than Hercules. Bruce stares from Roman, asking, You're Maestro? And Hercules laughs, Indeed I am, by Zeus. It's good to see you. Where have you been? Bruce tells him that MODOK had him on ice, and Hercules asks, The giant floating head? Either way, it is marvelous to see you. The truth is, you were always my favorite. Bruce asks him, Favorite? And Hercules smiles, telling him, Sparring partner. And then he punches him out of the palace. Hercules jumps out of the hole that he launched Bruce out of, yelling, You've gotten rusty! I thought you could take a punch. Bruce snaps his jaw back into place, telling him, You stupid! That hurt, you Olympian oaf! Bruce returns with a punch of his own, knocking Hercules back. But Hercules jumps to his feet, telling him, That was a hit! Oh, how I've missed these days. He gets up, slamming into the ground, creating a shockwave, opening up a hole, causing Bruce to fall to the subway below. As he gets up, Bruce hears somebody coming and they say, "Dr. Banner, I'm Decord and this is Piz Fizz. Rick Jones wants to see you." Bruce suddenly stops, glaring back at the woman. "What did you just say?" Up top, Hercules calls out, telling him, "Well, that was glorious! Come now, let us indulge in—" Wait, Bruce? But when Hercules sees Bruce is gone, he says, "Well, this is most irritating." Back at the subway, Bruce enters into a room and an old senile Rick rolls closer in his wheelchair, stating, "Hey, pardon me if I don't get up." "You're losing hair too. We should start a club." Bruce kneels down, telling him, "My God, how old are you?" And Rick tells him, 39. Looking pretty good, huh? Another girl enters, scanning Bruce, and after a moment says, "He's clean." And Rick says that is his granddaughter, Janice. Anyway, so you ran into Hercules, or the Maestro, as he calls himself now. And Bruce asks, "Is that really him, though? Not like a Skrull or something?" And Rick tells him, "No, that's Hercules. He's changed. He cares about women and partying, about living like there's no tomorrow. But the city's filled with ordinary people just trying to survive, and he doesn't give a crap about all of them." Bruce drinks his tiny beer, asking, "Ordinary people? He doesn't care about them? Why should he?" Rick stops and stares. "What?" Bruce motions to the room around them, telling them, "Look at all these trophies of heroes long past. All these heroes fought on behalf of ordinary people, yes? Fought against the schemes of villains to rule them." Bruce gets up and scoffs, "Ordinary people." And then he throws the Silver Surfer board table, yelling, "Ordinary people destroyed the world, Rick! Not Leader, not the Red Skull, none of the despots that we fought and died against. Ordinary damned people brought it down around their bloody ears. Am I supposed to care if Hercules is giving them the short stick? If Hercules has any brains, he would lay waste to all the ordinary people. Just mow them down in mass. Give me one good reason why anyone should care about ordinary people, Rick." Rick tells him because Betty was one. So was Marlowe, and him, and once upon a time, Bruce Banner. Bruce turns back. "They're sheep. That's all they are. All they're good for. They should be ruled with an iron hand, used to form an army that can bring unity to the world." Rick asks, "Whose rule? Yours?" Sounding a lot like Dr. Doom. And Bruce tells him, "Maybe Doom was onto something. I need a lab." Rick tells Decord to take him to Alchemex, or at least what's left of it. And later that night, in front of the partially ruined Alchemex building, Decord asks what does he need here. Bruce tells her, "I'm planning to build something. Care to join?" But as he looks over, he sees Decord has already gone and tells her, "Guess not. Not like I needed you. Hulk doesn't need anybody." As Bruce jumps down and looks around the cybernetics department, he sees a sign that says Lab Rats. He shrugs. "That sounds promising. Well, if it's literal, it could be promising. Cyber rats could be powerful." As he walks into the lab, he sees dozens of humans floating in test tubes and says, "Holy cow, I've struck the mother lode." He cracks his fingers, stating, "I know what I'm going to be doing for the next few months." So several months later, back in Dystopia, Hercules heads into his chambers with a woman when Minister says that he would like a moment of his time. Hercules tells him that in case he didn't know, the Maestro is busy. Minister turns back, stating, "Very well. Doubt the Hulk wanted to see him anyway." Hercules drops the woman to the ground, asking, "Hulk, show me!" Down in the city, Bruce calls out to everyone that he was told that they are ordinary people. Well, he doesn't believe that. Ordinary is a term assigned to those who believe that they are their betters, that they pose no threat. But ordinary people took them to the moon. Ordinary people saw what they could be. Ordinary people made themselves extraordinary because leaders told them where to go and what to do. He is prepared to do that. There is a world beyond Dystopia. He has seen it, and now, I am ready to rule it. With your help, we can build this country up and make it greater than it was before. Let me give you a glimpse of what I can provide." Just then, dozens of cybernetic dogs jump around Bruce as he says, "These are my dogs of war. Imagine an army of them, my friend, an entire army. They will do the fighting, and all of those who follow just need to clean up behind them. Who will join me? Who's with me? As the people begin to whisper, they then begin to state, hell with that. Big Green's nuts. And Bruce responds, fine, have it your way. Sick 'em! As the dogs of war lunge at the crowd, Hercules laughs. Oh, this'll be fun! Bruce calls out that he warned them. He gave them a chance, but they decided to ignore him, to snub him, to walk away from him. Fine. Now they will run in fear. But as one of the dogs jumps at the civilians, Hercules crashes his airspeeder, stating, I concur, no! The pilot of the dog yells to let go, you freak. And Hercules asks, you dare speak to the son of Zeus so? That was an error. He rips the dog apart, calling to Bruce, asking, is this it? The best that you've got? I thought better of you. It is tragic to discover that I overestimated you. Hercules punches into another dog, slamming it into another, shouting, come, give me your best shot, Hulk! Bruce jumps down from the building that he was on, punching into Hercules, telling him, you want it, you've got it. But Bruce stares as Hercules catches the punch, asking, was that supposed to impress me? He tosses Bruce up, grabbing him by the toe and slamming him to the ground, back and forth, and then he throws him into a building. Hercules laughs, shouting, puny banner! And Bruce rockets out of the building, hitting it, shouting, I'll kill you! I'll freaking kill you! Hercules blocks the attacks, asking, do you know how many people have made that threat? How many titans, monsters? Guess what? I'm still here. As Hercules grabs onto Bruce's hands, he lifts himself up and forces Bruce to his knees. He then lifts him up again, slamming him face first into the ground. As Bruce lifts his head back up, Hercules kicks him across the street and then quickly chases after, stating, there was a time that you would get stronger the madder you got. But that's not true anymore, is it? Banner's in control. Banner understands how overpowered he is. Banner knows when he is outmatched. Banner knows that he cannot fight back, not against the might of the Maestro. As Hercules punches over and over, he tells Bruce to surrender. Surrender before he kills him. Bruce coughs up blood, telling him, I give up. Are you happy? Hercules gets up, offering his hand, telling him, more relieved, actually. I truly did not wish to kill you. Stand and embrace me, my friend. Now come, enter the palace so that we may drown ourselves in good food and female companionship. Bruce puts his hand on Hercules, telling him, I don't think so. I haven't earned that. I have insulted these people and defied you. I must make amends. I will return at some point in the future. Hercules laughs. That's good to hear. Until then, Banner. Back in the subway, Decord says that this isn't going well. And Rick says, no, it's not. Did he ever tell them about Bruce's dad? He shaped him. Bruce Banner, the guy he met who saved the world, was just one of a splintered personality. The guy who was here earlier, that was the real Bruce, not the original Bruce. The selfless guy who nearly killed himself to rescue a stranger. This Bruce, he wouldn't give up. He'd scheme, he'd plot, and eventually, he'd win. It might take some time, but sooner or later he'll come back, and trust me, Herc's gonna die. So sometime later, Bruce Banner does return, but this time, he has come with a companion. He asks if Hercules is available, and the minister tells him, of course, come in. The minister shouts for Hercules, and he comes out telling him that it has been some time. And Bruce tells him that it has been. He went on some adventures, he broke his neck, but he's back. Hercules tells him that it all sounds very interesting, but who is your associate, Banner? And Bruce tells her that her name is Anne Darnell. She disrobes, telling Hercules that Bruce told her all about him, and she is very anxious to make his acquaintance. Hercules laughs. Very well, unarmed. Good choice of wardrobe. Come, allow me to show you around. Banner, feel free to entertain yourself. Bruce says that he appreciates it, and as Hercules leaves, the minister asks, where would he like to go first? The dining hall? Perhaps the sauna. Bruce says the throne room, wherever he rules from. But first, he needs to get something real quick. A few moments later, in Hercules' chamber, he closes the door, stating, now that we have some privacy, shall we get better acquainted? Anne begins to remove her top, stating that she was thinking the same thing. Hercules grabs hold, asking, are there any monikers that you go by? Mistress of Pain, Madame Merciless. And Anne says, actually, It's Vapor. As Vapor changes form, she flows into Hercules' nose asking, "Do you not remember me from the UFOs? AIM kept me out of the game for a while, but I'm back, and this gas? Arsenine, main ingredient in arsenic." Hercules' lungs are filled and he coughs, falling to the ground, punching. But as he looks up, he begins to bleed from his eyes. He tries to gasp for air, but his body shuts down. Vapor exits him, stating that that was easier than she expected. When suddenly the door is kicked in, and as Vapor turns, she is blasted with freeze rays. Bruce continues to fire, stating that it's amazing what you can find lying around Alchemex. And once Vapor is frozen, Bruce punches through, shattering her into 1,000 pieces. The guards rush in asking what happened, and Bruce tells them to take the pieces and bury them individually, all over the kingdom, out in the plains, and make sure that they never reassemble. He kneels down, closing Hercules' eyes, telling him, "I'm sorry, but I didn't have a choice. Nobody beats the Hulk. Nobody." Bruce then turns to leave, telling the guards, "Get me the hell out of here." So a short while later, Bruce pulls the cart, where Hercules lays, thinking to himself that that was easy. Vapor was never one for murder, but fortunately he was able to appeal to her lesser nature. Now she's shattered into pieces throughout Dystopia. Hercules is dead, people are in mourning, and all he has to do is kick back and let matters take their logical course. Once Hercules was set on the pyre, Bruce tells everyone that Maestro will live on in all of their memories. He developed Dystopia, gave them somewhere to live and in a way in which to survive, and in this day and age, that contribution cannot go underestimated. But now it is time to move on, and he shall lead them on that path. He shall help them march forward in a new. But one of the citizens steps forward asking, why him? Who put the Hulk in charge? Would the Maestro want him to run things? They should hold an election or something. Down below the city, Rick watches the security cam, stating, "Oh, yeah, this isn't going to end well." As the man finishes, more step forward stating the same thing, and Bruce asks, was the Maestro elected? Another person says that that was different, and Bruce tells them, so is this. If they don't believe him, perhaps they'd like to take it up with the Dogs of War. There's a few of them now. Surely they'll be happy to discuss it. Gentlemen, attack. Just as Bruce finishes, the dogs jump at the crowds, attacking everyone in sight, and at that moment, a beam fires through one of the dogs' heads. Bruce turns back asking who, and as Janice holds a smoking cannon, she tells everyone to run. Rick sits up in his chair yelling, "Hey! That gun was supposed to be down here! Forge made that to kill the Hulk! Well, let's hope it works!" Janice fires again, narrowly missing Bruce, and hitting another Dog of War. Bruce then punches into the ground, sending shockwaves through the ground, knocking everyone over. And as he looks back at Janice, he asks, did Jones send her? He's going to regret that before. But just then a strained voice screams out for Bruce. Hercules, still charred, still on fire, pulls himself from the pyre, stating, "You did this! You're the one who did this!" Bruce looks back, stating, "That's impossible." And Hercules walks forward asking, "Why? Because you thought a woman murdered me? Well, she did. Hades is doing me a favor, allowing me to wreak vengeance on you!" Hercules punches Bruce away, asking, "What now? Are you going to send more minions to do your dirty work? You used to be better!" Hercules turns, punching into one of the oncoming dogs, and he says, "Now I know of your cowardice." Just then, Bruce jumps to his feet, slamming Hercules down by his face, asking, "Is this cowardly?" And Hercules laughs, "No, just stupid." He throws Bruce up so that he can stand, and as he catches him, Forge's cannon is fired again, ripping into Hercules. Bruce lands, asking, "What just happened?" And the minister walks over with the cannon, stating, "I never liked him anyway. Here you are, sir." Bruce picks up the cannon, asking, "Does anyone else have anything to say?" "No? Thought so. But Jones, you're next." A few moments later, Bruce kicks in Rick's door, asking where is he? Where, but as he looks around, he sees all of Rick's belongings, except for one single monitor. The screen flickers and Rick appears, stating, "Hello, how's it going? Got Forge's gun, huh?" Bruce asks, "What, you're afraid of me?" And Rick tells him, "Duh, you've got heavy armament, and you're nuts. Any sane person will be afraid." And Bruce then asks, "You think I'm crazy?" And Rick tells him, "You know it's true." Bruce shrugs. "I'm the only one in Dystopia that's sane. I see the world for what it is, a toxic wasteland made by you humans." Rick tells him that he used to be one of those humans, and Bruce says that he used to be, but now he is so much more. They could have done this together. He walked with gods. Hell, for a time, he was a god. He was a Hulk. He was A-bomb. He had power at his fingertips. He could have lifted himself above humanity's petty concerns. They could have been the same, and Rick leans forward, telling him, "The son becomes the father. You ever hear that saying? No matter who you start out as, you'll eventually turn into your dad. You're not Bruce Banner. You're Brian Banner, the abusive SOB who destroyed his own son and turned him into a shell of a man. This is goodbye." A second later, the entire subway explodes with a thundering bracoom. Bruce pulls himself out of the hole, and the minister asks what happened. Bruce tells him that he had a conversation with an old friend, and the minister tells him, "He tried to kill him, huh?" Bruce then asks, "How is everyone up there?" And the minister says shaken up, but otherwise intact. "Shall we go to your castle, Banner? Or would you prefer the Hulk?" Bruce smiles. "I may have outgrown both of those names. Call me the Maestro."
And there you have it, today's full story. I hope you guys enjoyed. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell right here on this channel, as it will only ever be receiving full stories from the other channel. And if you want to see the videos as they come out, make sure you go check out the Comicstorian main channel, where you get 5 days of videos a week. I'll see you next time.